Marius Hansen is a chairman of Denmark's organization against the suffering of animals, and Bent Holst is the director of research and conservation there at the Copenhagen Zoo, where Marius was put down. Both join me now from Copenhagen via Skype. Our thanks to both of you for joining us on this day. Bent Holst, if I could start with you. Help our viewers understand, because it still remains unclear to many, help our viewers understand why the Copenhagen Zoo felt there was no other alternative but to kill this healthy giraffe.
Because he was, as it was said earlier, he was actually a surplus to the population. And, you know, as being part of a breeding program, you always have to make the population as sound as possible. And you can only do that by breed them and then evaluate the genes of the various individuals in the population, match it to the space available. And then you have to find out which ones are going to stay there.
The thing a lot of people
we cannot just put them to somewhere. Sorry.
Okay, Miriam, I'm going to come to you in a second, but Ben, to follow up on that, the thing people have an issue with is you speak as if there are no alternatives. We know that a number of zoos had asked to take in Marius. People want to know why that was not an option, or why was it not an option to neuter him or give him contraceptives so he didn't reproduce. Help us understand why the alternatives were not acceptable to the Copenhagen Zoo.
Well, I can say one was Yorkshire Zoo in the UK, and they are already part of the program and have been evaluated in the same analysis that stated that he was a surplus to the population. So that was out of order from the very beginning. Another zoo was a zoo in northern Sweden that doesn't work according to the same guidelines as we do, with the same set of values. So, and we don't want to send them somewhere to get them out of sight. So we couldn't accept that either. And then if we would sterilize him, then he would still take space up for a genetically more valuable giraffe. So that's not an option either. And that's actually why.
Muriel, you've heard what Ben Holst says there. They had a duty to prevent inbreeding, and we've gone through some of the alternatives, and they say those weren't good enough. What do you say to that, to what you've heard?
Well, I know that Ben keeps talking about breeding programs, but it was a healthy animal that you executed due to rules and a genetic program, and it makes no sense. So I know that zoos frequently kills animals in captivity, and the breeding programs are inevitably a result of a surplus to their needs. But I think that the zoos operate like any other animal entertainment industry. They just argue that they have an ethical purpose.
Ben, do you want to respond?
Well, we're back to the actually reason for having zoos. I think really there is a reason for having zoos, and we can discuss that at another stage. But having animals in our care means that we have to make sure that the population is always healthy. Otherwise, the population will, after a number of years, go down, and then we'll have no animals left. And if this argue against us, then, I mean, there's no reason for discussing anything. But I think you can agree that having animals, we have to take care of them as long as they are in our care. Isn't that right?
But what you're doing is you're having animals in captivity. This is not the nature. So you need to put the animals in some environments that are suitable for the animals. And what you did instead, actually, I would like to ask you now, where's your compassion for this animal? You had several offers to save him. You could have postponed it. Where's your compassion? Where's your empathy? And I think that this case with Marius just shows that the zoo is, in fact, not the ethical institution that it wants to portray itself as being.
No, because we knew that these options were not options. There were options in those that offered them. That there were not options according to the way we are working in managing our population, because that would not keep the population sound. So, and then to euthanize an animal, if it's a surplus, it's nothing else that is done every day in all countries all over the world. Not necessarily in zoos, but in parks and in forests and on open land. We all do it. And that's a question of adapting the existing population of animals to the available space. That's exactly the same as done in zoos.
Let me jump in and pick up on something that Maria just mentioned, this notion of compassion, and also the question of whether zoos the issue of entertainment. I bring that up because not only was this giraffe killed, he was then dissected in public, which has raised many questions about the Copenhagen Zoo's judgment. Some have said that, some have questioned what educational benefit could possibly arise from doing such a thing. And also they've asked and questioned whether you are compassionate, because it seems rather callous and insensitive. And maybe some are saying it was done for entertainment.
No, it's not at all. It is really done for education. And I mean, what is wrong in seeing a giraffe, a dead giraffe? I mean, death is a natural thing in the wild and in the zoo and everywhere. And after birth comes death at some stage. I mean, there's nothing wrong.
Would you not accept that the optics are slightly odd? You expect a zoo to be compassionate, and we know you have a duty of care to the animals. So to see them treated in such a way, would you not accept that it comes across as odd and unfeeling? Would you not accept that?
But they're not. What treating in what way? I mean, we treat them well. The main issue is that they are having a good life as long as they are alive. Will it be 2 years, 5 years, or 10 years? Doesn't matter actually. But they have to have a good life as long as they live, and that's very important for us too. And then we show the real thing. We shouldn't show the Disney World. We should show the real thing. And the real thing is that animals sometimes die, and there are big wonders inside the giraffe as well as outside on the giraffe. So they have to be told.
I want to give Marius a chance to jump in.
This was a healthy animal. Yes, animals sometimes die, but this wasn't healthy animals that were being killed because it was a surplus. That was the only reason it was killed. So, yes. And you say that it's an education purpose. I was standing outside demonstrating against the killing of surplus when a tall guy came out with a green plastic bag, proudly telling me that there was pieces of Marius in the bag. So again, I think this just shows that, yeah, you're not the ethical institution that you want to portray yourself as being. And I think really that it's time for people to know that they shouldn't go to zoos. The animals will not be treated well.
I think it's difficult for you to judge what happened inside with the autopsy since you were standing outside. I mean, if you have seen those people attending the autopsy and asking the questions, which are actually a lot of kids asking questions and adults asking questions, and how they stayed there for a long time to watch.